Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. I think we're just going to jump straight in and get started, and we'll tell you a bit about us first, and then we'll go into what our initiative is all about. So we are Diversity in Data, our fantastic logo and banner here that Autumn designed. And yeah, so straight in, who are we? So I'm Eve. Most people at Inside Lab know me anyway, because obviously I work here. But for those of you that don't, I'm a consultant at Information Lab, and I've got a background in teaching and HR. And I'm really passionate about promoting education and equal opportunities through data viz. I'm an active community member. You'll find me on Twitter, along with Autumn. And I'm a co-lead of Viz2Educate, as well as Diversity in Data. And I was a Tableaux Public featured author this year, and I'm a 5 times Viz of the Day winner now. I did not update that. And yeah, Autumn, tell us about you.
Hi, so I am a consultant at Tessellation. Prior to that, I was an analyst at Disney. My background is in social sciences with an emphasis in psychology and communication. So I've always sort of had a focus on human behavior and human interaction, which is just a little bit of a part of what makes this particular topic so interesting to me, and something I've been passionate about for a really long time. I'm the other co-lead with Eve on this project, and I was also a 2020 public featured author.
Cool. So really simply, I thought we'd start off with the aims of our initiative. So Diversity in Data is an initiative that's centered around diversity, equality, equity, and awareness. And every month we provide so far a number of data sets per month, which we're hoping you guys are going to help us to visualize. So last month we had some really exciting data sets. We had equality in childbirth. We had, trying to remember now, we had Fortune 500 CEOs, and
HR.
The last one was HR. That's the one. Should remember that really. Last one was HR. This month, I think they're even more exciting. So we've got Black History Month this month, which the US is celebrating. Obviously, we celebrate it in October in the UK. So we've got data sets on notable Black first achievements, which is really cool to sort of dive into and find out about some, really cool historical people. And we've also got Black inventors and notable scientific achievements. That's the one. And then we also have employment data from the US from the last year, which is obviously really interesting to find insights from, considering what's been going on over the last year. So yeah, if you guys want to get involved this month, we would absolutely love you to do that. So I'm now going to pass it to Autumn, and we're going to talk a bit about how you can get involved.
So I think the most obvious way, and the one that people have been, heavily participating in the past couple months, and we've been really excited to see all of it, is visualizing the data. So one of the reasons we put out data sets every month is because we know these are not necessarily easy topics to talk about, but also to even know about. One of the reasons that we started this initiative is to help build education and help build awareness. And so we didn't want to task people with finding information about something they may not be aware about yet. So that's why we're doing the task of trying to find timely data sets. So, for this month, we are talking about Black achievements, as it's Black History Month in the US, and then unemployment rates, as during the pandemic, that became an even bigger problem for women and people of color. So we're presenting that to you guys, and we want to know what you guys can find from it. So one of the first ways and best ways to get involved in the project is to visualize the data that we're putting forth, and this is platform agnostic. So Tableaux is definitely a huge community that even I participate in, but we would love to see people from maybe the Power BI community or whatever platform that you like be involved in this way. So the first step is just show us what you see from the data, and it's been great. People have come up with things that we wouldn't have necessarily thought about when we looked at it. So in addition to teaching each other and hoping people learn themselves, I think it's also teaching Eve and I a little bit as well.
Definitely, yeah. So that's the most, I think that's, yeah, as Alton said, the way that most people have been sort of getting involved so far. But another way that we'd love people to get involved is to actually, go out there and find your own data. So it's all about, the main aim for us is just to spread awareness about all issues of equality. And we'd love to support you in that. So, tag us, please tag us. No one's tagging us at the moment. So, tag diversity in data, tag me and Autumn if you can't quite remember diversity in data, tag one of us. If you use our hashtag as well, that's great. So diversity in data, hashtag. And that will come up on our radar, and we'd love to share that. We'd love to help promote that for you. So yeah, we've had some really great ones that have tagged us so far. I've got a couple I'm going to show you later on in the PowerPoint. But yeah, we've had a couple of great ones this month as well, which we'll be showcasing on our Twitter page, which is also diversity in data. We've kept it really easy for you guys. So all diversity in data. So yeah, follow us on that, and then you'll be able to see some really cool inputs, materials from other people in the community as well. Hand over to Autumn.
So with the first two being about visualizing it and putting it out yourself, we also want people to share each other's work. So when it comes to spreading awareness and building up that education, it's really important to let people know, about some of these things, and then also start conversations about them. Before we even started this, I'm sure Eve can attest for her too. When I was putting out vizzes about diversity, one of the most frequent comments I got was, "Wow, I never knew that," or "I wouldn't have guessed," or "That's such a big surprise to me." So I think a really important thing to remember here is that it's okay to not know things. It's okay to be a little bit vulnerable in that aspect, and it's okay to say, "Wow, I wasn't aware of this, and thank you for putting this issue on my radar," or, "Oh, even take it further. I wonder what that looks like by state," or, "I wonder what that looks like split up in this way." We like when people make the visualizations, put those visualizations out there, but we really do want to start conversations too. So whether or not you are putting one out and saying, "Hey, what do you guys think?" Or if you see someone else's and say, "Oh, this made me think of this," or something like that, we really want to make it a discourse and not just sort of this static thing that we're putting online. So when you see those, feel free to interact with them.
Absolutely. I think another good point to bring up is that if anyone's ever sort of nervous about putting something out there, or just I think for me, one thing that I was really nervous about sort of when I first started visiting about this kind of stuff was like the language that I was using. If you're ever unsure, or you want someone to take a look at that for you, I'm more than happy to have a look at that, or just have a look at what everyone else in the community is doing as well. It's all about the community here, and like everyone is so willing to help each other. So just feel free to kind of like reach out to people and ask, because we really want people to help us spread this awareness, and just to visit their hearts out. So please come back to us and ask for help if you need it. And yeah, I put this really big, so please tag us. So for the last, everyone's going to sort of be shocked at this, but for the past these last 2 months, we've been kind of tracking these by hand, right, so far. So we're having to literally search for these visitors, because we know they're out there, because I see them sometimes come up on my news feed for like Tableaux Public, and then I can't find them on Twitter, and then I'll search the hashtag, or I'll just have to go to that person's profile and they've posted it, but they haven't tagged us in it. And I think we've managed to catch everyone so far, right? But I'm really worried that we're going to be missing some great visitors from people. So please just tag one of us, diversity in data hashtag, or even better, all four. If you can do all four, then we'll love you. But yeah, really important. So please remember. Okay, so I'll hand over to Autumn for this one.
Yeah, sure.
Fantastic logo artwork.
A lot of the other initiatives and challenges have a wrap up, and we definitely wanted to do that as well. We're asking you guys to put in the work and visualize data, so we want to make sure that we're acknowledging that. And we wanted to put a little bit of purpose and a little bit of intentionality to it. So we wanted to create a couple of benchmarks, things that we're looking for when we look at some of these designs. And I think these are pretty these aren't exclusive to just our initiative. I think these are things that people strive for when it comes to design and dashboard building across the board. So the things that we will be doing consistently across the month. So what we're showing right here is for January, but we'll keep it up is we pick one for most creative, most effective design, best use of color, best storytelling, best original viz. So as Eve was talking about earlier, if you guys want to viz your own diversity data that's not necessarily from us, we love and support that as well. And then viz of the month, which is just an overall one that really caught our eye. We thought hit, a lot of the other points. And I think in addition to, recognizing people's vizzes, for more than just the fact that, they contribute to the project and say, hey, we really thought you went above and beyond in this area. We also thought, it's going to be great to look back further on at the end of the year and say, hey, this is what our years look like. Here are some really wonderful visits that have come out and who we think are again, sharing awareness, but hitting the head on a lot of these great points as well when it comes to data visualization.
Yeah, I think we should also mention we do like a Thursday wrap up as well, right? So anything sort of in that week that's really caught our eye, and that includes, again, as we said, original visits, we will reshare those as well because we are just trying to really spread the word. But yeah, we really enjoyed doing this, didn't we? At the end of the month, we had to it was so hard to pick our favorites as well. It took us ages. But I thought we could go through some of them, and so you guys can see why we picked them, and we can just show you the kind of stuff the community is coming up with. So the most creative, which was the first on the list, was by Ada, and we loved this. We loved the fact that she sort of had a forward-looking approach and sort of looked at how long it would actually take for us to reach equality with the Fortune 500 CEOs. And obviously, as you can see, it's going to take quite a while. I think it's 2,116, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I'm having to look sideways, but yeah, that's a long time. So obviously, we need more attention to be focused on that issue, which I think this makes incredibly clear. So we loved that one. And then we both loved this one, didn't we, Autumn? Olisola's, he's like, I think it's a brilliant viz that it's just kind of in a one sheet view, and it really, really, to me, highlights the issue that that there is. But again, with the Fortune 500, really, really clever design there. I'll let Autumn take these two.
Sorry, I accidentally got muted.
Sorry, I accidentally muted you there.
For Laura, is her best use of color. I mean, I'm turquoise and a sort of coral are a combination that I love in general, but they provide a really good contrast here where you can see very easily how small the women representation is, again, for this Fortune 500 data. And then additional as well, though we put it for best use of color, one thing we did recognize Laura for too in our weekly wrap up that Eve was talking about earlier is that 50-50 line to just show how far away we are really from equality. Because I think, it's important to talk about the growth. There has been a lot of growth over the past years because the data set was historical. But I think it's good to keep the perspective similar to what Ada did, but also Laura here is there's really a long way to go. We can't stop there, or it's nice to pat ourselves on the back for these things, but there's a lot more work to be done. And so we really want to make sure that we keep an eye on that as well. So I think the color combination here, but also that 50-50 line really draws your attention to that. Zifa's viz is something that I love and I talk to her about so many times. One of the things we really liked about this, and one of the things we love to see people do, is to sort of expand the data set that we provide. So she went out of her way to look up other things, to layer in more information to this. She gave it a race and ethnicity element that we didn't necessarily provide. And we absolutely love that and love to see more of that, because what we're doing is really providing a starting point for people, but there's so much more around these topics and around these conversations to explore. So we love that she did that and really created a more holistic view of the data that we provided. So we gave her best storytelling because she really thought through a lot more pieces of it than just what we were providing, and we really appreciated that.
Yeah, really fantastic viz from Denise there. So this is the one that I was mentioning before. So this is, I think, one of my all-time favorite visits that I've seen. So since I started Tableaux. This is the Molars viz. It was the food apartheid in Washington, DC. And I just think the design is really special on this one. And this is an example of, this is his own data. He went out, he went and found this on his own, and he did tag us in it, which was great. So we could reshare that and spread the word. But I think I described this, I did. I said it was a work of art, and I would put this on my wall. Like, I love this bit. Yeah, very, very well deserved. Best original viz there. And yeah, I think it's just, it's just like, I think it's one of those issues that people kind of, I think a lot of people were aware of it happening because I've heard it mentioned before, but I've just never seen it visualized in this way and so effectively. And I think that when you looked at the comments as well, it really did start a conversation, didn't it? And that's exactly what we want people to be doing. So yeah, amazing work. If Damoda watches this or if he's on the call, yeah, amazing, amazing work. And yeah, do you want the honors, Autumn?
Yes. So like I said, for Viz of the Month, we gave it to Chimdi, and one of the reasons that we picked it is because it really just hit a lot of the things. We thought it was a really effective design. We thought it was great use of color. We thought it told the story well. And those are the things we were looking for across the other categories. And he really wrapped it up well in this one. And it's one that came out, I believe, earlier in the month, and that even I just kept coming back to. We just kept saying, wow, we really love it. It really speaks to what the data set is about. And like I said, hit all of those individual pieces that we were looking for. So we gave this Viz of the Month. Because we felt like it holistically had a lot of really great aspects of data visualization in it and told the story of the data set well.
I think it's one of those businesses as well where, like one of those designs where I would never have thought to display this data as waffle charts. It's just something I never would have even considered, and I just think it looks so good. Like, I love a good waffle chart, but this was epic. I would put this on my wall as well, genuinely. Like, I'd put this in a frame. So if Chimbi's watching, amazing job. We loved this. And there we go. So this beautiful piece of artwork is by the lovely Autumn here. And I wanted to include this one because A, I think it's amazing, and B, it's a really good example of like using the data, but with this. I mean, this isn't a data visualization tool either, is it? This is just you free draw. You're drawing this freehand, right? Do you want to tell us a bit about how you did it?
Yeah, so I recently got into digital art in the past year. I needed something to keep my hands and my mind busy over the pandemic, so I started drawing. And this specific data set was around HR data and in the workplace, and this particular stat really spoke to me, and it's 95% of ethnic minorities report being subject to microaggressions during their HR careers. I unfortunately have had a significant amount of comments about my hair as a Black woman in the workplace over my professional career, and so this one really struck me personally, and I wanted to visualize one, how beautiful Black hair can be, how unique it can be, but also how simple it is. I mean, it's hair, and yet it really is could be a point of discomfort for a lot of minorities in the workplace. And that's just one example, and it's an example that was personal to me, but similar to what we were talking about before, when I posted this, I ended up having a lot of really great conversations about it, about how hair is perceived in the workplace. And I really think it speaks to our goal with this project. And like I said, building awareness and starting those conversations, because like I said earlier, there are people who are like, oh, I would have never guessed, or other people who said, yeah, I've had the same problem too, or even Dazifa, I believe she brought up a piece of legislation in California that I wasn't aware about, and so I looked more into that. But she brought it up because of this visualization. So I think this is great to show, one, because we want people to know that you don't just have to do things in Tableau, like we said, but also I think this was one of the pieces from that month that probably had maybe the most conversation around it, or at least a lot around it. So I think it shows that we're on the right path as far as hitting that goal that we have.
Yeah, and again, I think I loved this. I reshared this, I think, a couple of times. But I think it just goes to show that it doesn't have to be a data visualization tool. Like, whatever you like doing, painting, like, honestly, we would just love to see whatever you want to create with this data. We've proved that you can create just art. So, please, share whatever you make with us and tag us in it. tag us in it, and we will share that for you as well, and we'll promote that. So yeah. So I also wanted to add a few submissions that we've had so far this month. This is a bit outdated already. I made this a few days ago, but we've had some brilliant submissions. So this is just like a little taster. And this is so this is the unemployment data set. And, you know, you can see the range of different designs that we've had already. Some of the colors and some of the stories being told, I think, are really, really, really impactful. I love this one. I believe this is the Molars. Yeah, brilliant viz, really nice storytelling. I like the simplicity of the colors on this one as well. I'm trying to remember who everyone else is. Like, I should have put names on these, but I didn't. I think this was.
I think that's all the shows.
Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it? This one was, again, like really simple colors used and just really impactful, great storytelling. I can't remember everyone, sadly, but some really, really lovely examples. These are just a sort of a snapshot of some of the ones that really stood out to me, but I know we've had a lot that have been brilliant. And yeah, these are the Black Achievement Scissors. And the science ones, sorry. This one's Chimneys. I remember that one. That's one for that's had some really great conversations around it already, actually. When you look at the comments on that, it's really, really interesting to see. I think this one, is this Kimley's? I think it is Kimley's. That was brilliant as well. And I would never have thought of displaying the data in that way either. So that's really, really cool. I think that was inspired by Sam Parsons, and that was, yeah, really, really nice. And do you have anything you wanted to really point out here, Autumn?
That flower viz in the middle is from Jody, yeah. And man, it took my breath away, because you look at it and it's beautiful, right? You know, when we're talking about data
so
art,
pretty.
it's stunning. But at the same point, one of the things I liked about it is she simplified it on the surface, so you're just seeing sort of this picture, but she kept all of the nuance of the data, so you can go in there and see, you know, their achievements and see their names and when they're alive, and by the industries that their achievements are in, and she has the information in the how to read. So I love simple vizzes, and I think she did a great job of providing a simple viz, but like really understanding all of the pieces of the data in there and making sure none of that got lost. So in addition to being stunning, I really appreciated that aspect of her viz.
Yeah, I loved this one. This, again, I would put this on my wall. I've got a lot of vizzes right now on my wall in my mind, but yeah, really nice. And this one as well, I can't remember who did this one, which is Rebecca. Really bad. I can't. Thank you. That's the one. I just love the colors in this. I really love the colors, and I just think it really stands out. And I like the little symbols as well. And you can filter, and it's just really, really cool. And this is the scientific achievements one. But again, you can hover over each of these, and it gives you all the information in there. So yeah, really, really cool. If you do the scientific achievements one, you have the wiki links in there as well. So if you guys want to go in and then investigate perhaps one person a bit further and dive into that and expand on that data, like that information in that data set for you. So yeah, that's just a little taster of what we've had already. Hopefully we're going to get a few more for this month. There's another, I think, 2 weeks left. 2 weeks left? Yeah, must be 2 weeks left. So plenty of time if anyone wants to get involved, so please do. Looking forward to seeing what you guys can create. And yeah, I think if I stop sharing, or should I leave this nice background on there? I think we have a few questions that I can see popping up. Steph's back. There we go.
Back. Yeah, that was really great. Thank you for taking us through that. It's good to hear you both talk about it. I think one really big takeaway, obviously there's lots of really good work so far. One really big takeaway, especially from me, was please tag them. I don't know if there's one key thing. tag the account. But yeah, we do have some questions. So I guess the first one, a good place to start is why did you want to start the initiative in the first place? Where did that come from?
Eve, I'll give that to you, since this is your baby. This is your idea.
I think for me it was more like I just thought there just wasn't enough action around it, and I think that we had kind of the Black Lives Matter movement, obviously, in this just past year, and I felt like for just a couple of weeks, everyone was finally talking about these issues that needed to be discussed, and then it just sort of stopped. Like, I feel like there was like, what, literally 2 weeks, and then suddenly no. And I feel like I continued, and I know that Autumn continued to visit about it, but then the conversations, that's the main thing I noticed, it just stopped. And to me, it's just so important to keep that conversation going. I think it's sort of around, it was sort of around the time I was doing Visit to Educate, and we knew that history was going to come up, and we were always going to plan it for February for Black History Month. And I think it was just kind of like, why wait till February? Like, I want to start getting the conversation going now. And because Autumn has done so many great visits as well, like to, you know, raise awareness about sort of these kind of issues. Yeah, we just jumped on a call, didn't we? And we're just like, oh, you know what? This isn't being done. I don't know how it's not being done. I don't know how no one's thought of it yet, but let's just like, let's get together and do it. And it was really quick, wasn't it? Like, we managed to, I think we were both thinking about doing something anyway along these lines. And we just sort of came up with the idea and just sort of had it out within, was it like 3 or 4 days? And we just had it launched, and it went really smoothly, and the reception was amazing, right? So I feel like a lot of people in the community obviously also wanted to talk about these issues, but they just sort of really hadn't had a platform to kind of help them do that. And as we said before, it's quite a hard topic, I think, topic for people to feel comfortable talking about. And if you've got like a little community doing it together, I think it just sort of gives people that confidence to talk about it as well, which I think is super important. And I'm also going to send that one back to Autumn, because I think that she might have maybe different reasons as to why she wanted to start it.
Well, I think one of the biggest barriers to diversity is not even necessarily what it takes to accomplish it, and it's more getting everyone sort of on the same page. So I think in the US specifically, with a lot of things that happened in the past year, a lot of people sort of realized some problems that have been underlying in this country for a very long time. And I think, now we're getting more people to say like, yes, these are issues that are going on, but I don't think they're necessarily knowledgeable about the specifics of them, knowing, exactly where to start, what the intensity of it is. And so that was one of the reasons why I was interested in this, is because I don't think we're going to have progress without education. We're not going to have progress without knowledge. I can't expect people to fight for things that they don't know is going on. So I think that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to do it, was because I saw this awakening almost in the US in this past year of people acknowledging these problems. I just wanted to push a little bit further and say, okay, you now know sort of high level, these are issues, but like, let's talk about what industries those are problems in. Let's talk about how that manifests for people in their day-to-day lives. So the unemployment rates data set, for example, that's a very real, tangible thing that people can relate to and understand, and we're visualizing, hey, look how bad it got. So that was my reasoning for jumping in.
Nice. So
yeah, I think sorry.
No, go on.
I was going to say, I think the HR data set was another one actually that was really interesting, because that again was, even though it was just within one industry, I think it just sort of showed like that, at the lower levels how it's affecting people, and especially with your artwork. About the 95% of people that had experienced microaggressions, that's something that is very real and happening to people on a daily basis, in the UK, in the US, across the world. I think, we had a lot of people from from all different countries, right, getting involved with this. And there were always loads of people joining this conversation, which says it's a problem across the board. It's not just with one country, it's everywhere. And I think but it's such an important issue to bring to light. So yeah, I think that's definitely answers that question, right?
I think you're right. I think the kind of the simplicity as well of kind of some of the more, the ones that lean more on the art side, and like that 95% stat, like you say, it kind of sparked conversation rather than being kind of a really big piece of analysis. Yeah, really, some really impactful things. Where, do you have a vision of where this is going, where the initiative's going, or kind of just seeing where it takes you?
It's a good question. I would like to hope it to be long-standing. I would like to see, hopefully, maybe not change, but I think eventually we'll get to a point where there's going to be more of call to action with some of the data sets we provide. So like I said, we do try to look for timely things that are impacting people, right now. And I think eventually some of that's going to come with, hey, this piece of legislation is possibly going to be passed in this country, and call up your local legislators and things like that. I think that would be a great place for this to go eventually, because awareness is the first step, and we want that to lead to progress. And I think it can feel daunting, and I think it can feel like maybe as an individual that you can't make a lot of change, but I don't think that's true. And I think we've built a great community around this initiative already to only be 6 weeks in, and I can't wait to see how that grows. And I think there's great potential to really cause change and to really impact, some of these things that we're talking about. So that's where I'd like to see it go in the future.
Yeah, I think I'm in complete agreement with that. I think as well, for us, yes, it's great to looking forwards and think potentially big change happening, but I think it's also even if it just helps someone who's having a hard time in their office, maybe have the confidence to talk about it with their colleagues, or to bring it to the attention of their colleagues, or just for businesses to see this information coming out. I think that a lot of people aren't necessarily even aware of it. I think that there's a lot that could be learned, especially with the microaggressions, for example. When that data set came up, I did a lot of research on that myself. And even though I thought I was really clued up about it, actually there was stuff that I didn't know. So I think that it's going to help people sort of self-educate themselves as well. And I think that that's super important. And Autumn's right. Just, you might think you won't make a big difference on your own, but that will make a massive difference for someone else that you're working with. To know and be aware of that, because then it's it's just going to make them feel more comfortable and more welcome as well. It's not going to sort of alienate people, and I think that's just so important. So yeah, I think that even small impacts on a local level with an individual, it will make all the difference.
Yeah, and on so one of the things you mentioned was kind of keeping it topical. You're picking data sets that are relevant kind of now, or that's kind of ultimately the plan as well. So where are you finding the data sets? How do you, I know this is a few questions rolled into one, but where do you find the data sets? How do you decide topics? Can people suggest topics? Or I think some people have looked at their own data sets already, but can they kind of bring those to you as well for you to share more widely?
Yes, absolutely.
Lots of questions.
Yeah, there's all loads in the kind of.
That's actually how one of the data sets got on our radar for this month. So the unemployment data set came to us in two ways, but Zifa posted an article that referenced this data from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics in the US. And then also Jared Flores, I believe is his name, he tagged us in the same article actually and said, hey, I think this would be a great thing to talk about. And so between those two people, that's what put it on our radar. And we absolutely would love people to suggest things. You can DM the account, or you can DM Eve or myself. We try to be in the know, and we try to look at these things, but we understand that there are things happening in particular countries. There are things happening for particular groups of people that maybe Eve and I don't belong to, and we aren't aware of. And we don't really have a lot of strict parameters around the types of things that we are going to put out there. We want to put out things that people are curious about, but also things that are affecting people. So if there's anything you know of, or you would love to just build awareness about, or see people visit about, please let us know, and we'd love to include that in a future data set. And I think too, the structure that we've created sort of lends itself to that. So we're not just doing one data set a month. We did, I believe, 3 last month and then 3 this month. So we put out a couple, one so people can choose what works for them or what they're interested about or passionate about, but also so we have the opportunity to include things from the community and have a couple things at once. So yes, absolutely willing to include things that people suggest.
Yeah. In terms of where we find the data, sorry.
Yeah, that you're about to answer the question I'm going to ask.
Yeah, I think you did ask it. It's amongst all the other questions. So where I find the data. So obviously that article was we were pointed in that direction. So this month's data, I pulled that from Wikipedia. It took a long time. So I appreciate anyone visiting that, because that's kind of like one of my babies. Like it took me ages to do that, so long. So yeah, that's just from Wikipedia, and just involved a lot of research. And I was already trying to put together a viz with that, and then I was like, this is amazing data. Let's just share it with everybody. And then previous months, we did smaller data sets, right, for the first month. So just to try to get people kind of really like involved, you know, so make it more accessible for everyone. So last month, a lot of that data I just came across in articles. So two of the data sets, the HR one and the childbirth one, I happened to, I subscribed to a magazine, an HR magazine, back from when I was at uni, still subscribing, keep forgetting to unsubscribe. And that actually came up as a visual, like a poster with all the stats in it. So I made the data set from that. And then the childbirth one was just from one of the leading charities in the UK. They published this year's report, and it just, I can't remember how it came up on my radar. I think I was just browsing on Twitter and no one tagged me in it. It just kind of came up and I was like, ooh, and then used that. So it's more just, again, I think it just, you know, sort of researching and looking around. And I think that once I'm assuming that came up on my radar because, you know, I'm following a lot of people that are doing these visualizations, and it just kind of, Twitter knows, so it came up. So I was like, this is something that should be shared. But in terms of people trying to find their own data, yeah, there's so many sources that you can look at. That's just some of the ones that I've been looking at. And Autumn, I'm not sure how you source your data. Do you find it in any particular place, or is it again just kind of come, you know, you just see it?
Similar in that at least a lot of news articles spark the idea, but also I mean, a lot of news articles will link where they got their data from. So that's how I found the unemployment data that we're using this month. The original article I think might have been on CNN, but it linked the Bureau of Labor and Statistics in the US, which is a government entity, and they have a bunch of historical data. So I just searched around for unemployment rates by race and gender, and was easy to find that. So digging a little deeper into the things you're seeing online, I think is a great way to start. If you see an article, if you open it, I'm sure it will have more information about how you can find out about the data that they're referencing. Even if they aren't putting specific numbers in the article, they normally do have that in there. So I think that's a great place to start.
We've had a question in the Q&A. So someone saying, I was born in the UK in 1984, I'm of Pakistani heritage. How does diversity in data represent other people of colour? So I guess, yeah, do you have plans? I guess that depends on what data sets you find and what topics come up.
I know one thing that was really important for Eve and I at the beginning was to also expand the definition of diversity, because I think it's people are quick to only talk about it in regards to gender, or only talk about it in regards to race, but it's a lot more than that. It's about, you know, representation and inclusion of a lot of groups who don't normally get it. So things we plan on doing in the future are also about people with disabilities, people in the LGBT community. Mental health is something we plan on talking about too. So we've only had a few data sets so far, and we definitely want to expand on the things that we're talking about. And I'm not sure who asked, but if there's something you had in mind, you know, like I said before, we would love to include it. With Black History Month, we were focusing on that particular race for this month's data set, but we do really want to, one, broaden people's idea of what diversity means and how people are affected by lack of equality, and we do hope to be inclusive of all groups. And if we're not, please call us out on that, because that would be sort of against the whole purpose of the initiative. So we're going to try, and if you have anything in mind, let us know. And we definitely want to include more things. And yes, Dennis, I think he said aging as one of the things too. We can definitely look into that as well.
Yeah, I think last month I last month I aimed to try to do a bit more of a range of data sets, but yeah, this month we did focus in on Black History Month, and there will be other months like that. So I think we want to do a mental health awareness month at some point. I don't know which month that will be yet, but you know, that we will have some months where we try to focusing on one thing, but we certainly want to, you know, we want to be as representative as possible. And yet, if there's anything that you guys have on your radar that you want to, because this is all about the community as well. So we want to be representative of what people in the community want us to highlight and to talk about. So please do let us know if you have anything interesting, send it our way.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. Like you're saying, to keep keeping things topical. So Black History Month as your current kind of example. We have got a few more questions. So there was one about how do people find out the current data set? So there's a data.world account, but is there a place, is it your Twitter account that, or something like that, where you've got like the current list?
So we publish the data on Data World. It's the same as Make Every Monday if you guys do that. And I think Project Health is, I think everyone publishes on there. So it's on Data World. You can follow us on there as well. And it's just diversity in data. Again, we've kept it really easy for you guys. But if you follow our Twitter account, it's actually linked on the main Twitter account at the top. And then each month we also do a little post-it. Oh my gosh, a shareable, that's the one. We do a shareable that has the link in as well. So yeah, and it's really easy to navigate on Data World. We've literally got a separate one for each month. So we've got January still on there. So if you guys want to backdate and do January, please do. We'd love you to still tag us in that. And then we've got February on there as well. So yeah, they'll go in hopefully in order. And that should be really easy for people to navigate.
Cool. I'm aware we're kind of running out of time as well. We've got a few more questions. So do you plan on working with the Tableaux Equity Task Force at all? So they're also highlighting great visualizations around diversity. Are you working with them at all? I think
maybe inadvertently, not explicitly yet, but we'd love to. I mean, there are vizzes that have come out of our initiative and our data sets that are featured there. We haven't really spoken with them about anything official, but I mean, I would love to definitely help, or even like we were saying before, if they have things in mind that they would love to see visualized, we could definitely work on creating a month around that, or including data sets if they're saying, hey, we're seeing a big gap in education or in vizzes on this topic, if they have something in mind. But I'm really appreciative for that gallery. I think it's great. Eve has a bajillion vizzes in there because she has such great work. And I think too, it's a great motivator for people in the community in regards to the initiative, to see like the different ways that people are talking about diversity and showing that. So I think it's also good inspiration. I'm not sure if I answered the question.
Yeah, I think well, there's quite a few other vizzes in there, but you can actually you can submit vizzes too. The public can submit vizzes. So if you see a viz that you think should be in there and isn't in there, then submit it too. So I've already submitted a couple, which I think would be great additions. So yeah, bear in mind that that's there. And everyone on the diversity panel has been super supportive, right? Like they've all been retweeting people's vizzes and really trying to get the message out there too. So we're really appreciative of that.
Both initiatives are trying to achieve the same thing, right? Talking more about diversity. So makes sense. So I've got another comment in the Q&A. So maybe a topic would be how to include people in the conversation that immediately say diversity, that's not really my thing. And that maybe that's usually people from non-minority groups. So I guess that's around getting people talking about topics that they think don't impact them. Have you got any thoughts on that? Like how to get people talking about it that think it's not really for them?
A really good question.
Yes, right? Like I was saying earlier, one of the biggest barriers is that people just, I don't want to say aren't in agreement, but don't think it's as big of a problem as it is, or don't think it affects them, and it might not, but I think it's still important. And I think coming from a place of empathy is going to be really critical, both when approaching these data sets, but also in trying to have conversations with people who may not necessarily be on the same page. And I think this goes back to an earlier question, and something that might have been good to answer, Steph, when you asked where we hope to see this go. I think too, helping people have regular day-to-day discourse about diversity with people in their lives is something that we can definitely encourage and help with. I know Eve spoke earlier about the vocabulary being really hard, and we've talked about them being hard topics. So I definitely think there's an opportunity to help people in the community talk to others who don't think diversity is something that they need to care about.
I think as well, like, I know that I totally understand the question, and I know that a lot of people think it doesn't directly impact them personally. But I think if you think about, if you're just going into your office every day and you look at the people you work with, it impacts them. Like, it will impact someone that you know, and probably people that you're close to. And, in terms of like, I mean, this is just speaking from the workplace perspective, but, to have like an inclusive workplace, a diverse workplace, a place where, there's collaboration that's encouraged and that everyone is sort of working together as a community, everyone's going to benefit from that. It will make your workplace a much nicer and, much lovelier place to work. And I think that's the same for outside the workplace too. Within your community, it will really, surely it's nicer to be inclusive and like not alienate anyone and sort of just collaborate. Like the world would be a better place. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get at there. But I think that it does impact everybody. It may not be direct, but there'll certainly be indirect impact on every single person. So absolutely. I think that's super important to remember.
Yeah, there's another great point in the chat as well, saying that making the visualizations themselves is a great start to getting them on board. So they might not think about it applying to them, but if the individual has any empathy, the viz will help them recognize the problems. So I guess that's exactly it, surfacing the visualizations that are happening and getting involved should help. Cool. So one more question, unless we have any more pop up. So if you've got any other questions, drop them in the Q&A now, and we'll get them to Autumn and Eve before we finish up. But one more from me. Have you got anything exciting planned that you've got coming up over the next couple of months? So you spoke a little bit about kind of this month. Have you got anything in the pipeline?
We have some exciting stuff, right? We don't have to talk about it yet. we have some really exciting collabs coming up, right? So for the next 2 months, I don't know if I'm allowed to discuss them totally, but for the next month, we've got some really exciting collabs with other initiatives coming up. So next month, we're partnering with 2 different initiatives. So if you do a viz for us, you are killing 3 birds with 1 stone, which I think is pretty cool. So that's really exciting. And I think the topic is really exciting too. And I think it will spark interest for a lot of different people, right? So that'll be really super interesting. Bit of a teaser. And then, the next month after that, we've got an exciting month planned with another initiative that's really popular, which a few of you are probably involved with already. And that's all I'm saying, unless Autumn wants to dive in and give you a few more clues. But yeah, the next 2 months are going to be exciting.
I think too, the second month will, to the point we were talking about before, I think it's a little bit broader and a little bit more approachable than some of the things that we've done in the past. So I think it's going to be a great entry point for people who have been a little unsure about some of the topics. I know last month when we were talking about inequality in childbirth, that might not seem as accessible to people who aren't as well versed in some of these things. So I think April, we have something planned where I think it's going to be really inviting to people who have been watching diversity in data, have been interested in it, but haven't necessarily been sure how to start or have been a little hesitant. I think that one's going to be a good month for that. And then also I would say with some of these too, and just in general, things that we have planned, we do want to talk about issues, because like I said, education is important, but we also want to talk about, starting even this month with the achievements is highlights. We don't want it to all be trauma, tragedy, and doom and gloom. We also want to elevate the good things that are happening, or maybe stories people haven't heard of. So someone in the community by the name, I think her name's Irene, she had posted asking for data sets about Africa that weren't about illness and poverty. And I think that's a really great point to make. We obviously want to talk about some of the hardships that some of these marginalized groups are facing, but we also want to talk about the positives, the wins. And I think we're going to see more of that in the coming months as well, of that balance between, yes, we want to make you aware of the issues, but also like, look at this really great person that maybe you haven't heard about before, and look at what they're doing in the world, or did you know this about this country or this group of people? So I think that's something to be on the lookout for as well.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think it's really important to celebrate the good and to really highlight the amazing achievements happening like every day. I know some have come up on my radar recently, so yeah, hopefully we'll have some really cool stuff coming up to you in the next few months.
Absolutely, that's great. Great to hear. A few teasers in there. You've got me hooked at least, so hopefully you've got a few other people hooked as well. Cool. So I think we should wrap up there. It's been really great to hear from you both. There were a couple of questions, but I think you've answered them. So is it tool agnostic? And I'm saying yes. Yep. Is the one word answer. Definitely. People can get involved.
Yeah.
Cool. And how they can get involved is to check out your Twitter. We did post it in the comments, but we'll also put it in the details of the YouTube recording, and we'll send that out to anyone who's signed up. So if people want the Twitter information, you can't quite remember it, we will put that in the description of the video as well. And
I think there was one question that came up actually that I should really quickly mention, and that's that someone asked what level you had to be, like in terms of like Tableau and data visualization. And I think it's just really important to say that all levels are more than welcome, and that's one reason why we do multiple data sets, because some of them are easier than others, and we've done that purposely because we would love to have everyone. We'd love you to get involved, and it's a good way for you to improve your skills too. So think of it like also like Makeover Monday, like it's just take it as an opportunity to have another data set to visualize and improve your skills. And again, we'll help you if you need help. So, but I just wanted to quickly mention that. I just totally forgot.
I missed that one. No, good point. Really good point. Yeah, and again, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us and speaking to us about this. It's really great to hear about the initiative, and I think it's all well and good seeing it on Twitter, and like you say, you've got a lot of engagement already around it. But hearing you both talk about it has definitely, like I said, I'm hooked. And yeah, it's really great to hear it from you two and hear how passionate you both are about it as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for watching. Like I say, we'll drop details of how to get in touch with Autumn and Eve in the description of the YouTube video. And aside from that, all there is left for me to say is, yeah, thank you for joining us, and hopefully see you at another event soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Steph.